Your foot is resting on the clutch pedal, the engine is idling, and the car is sitting on a hill. You let go of the brake and the car does not roll backward. It just sits there, perfectly still, while somewhere beneath the floor a steel disc spins at 800 revolutions per minute. So how does a part whose entire job is gripping hold your car still? By doing the one thing it was never supposed to do, which is slipping. The answer starts with a material that seems almost laughably simple: leather. Some of the very first clutches ever built used strips of animal hide pressed between metal faces, because engineers needed a surface that could grip hard when squeezed and also let go on demand. That single idea, a surface that can grip and slip, would come to define this part more than any metal in it. To understand why, you have to understand what an engine can and cannot do. A piston engine only produces useful pulling power inside a fairly narrow band of revolutions per minute. Below that band it shudders and stalls. Above it, the power fades away. The wheels of your car, on the other hand, need to turn at any speed from 0 up to well over 100 kilometers an hour. That mismatch is the entire reason a gearbox exists. It lets the engine stay in its happy band while the wheels do whatever the road demands. But gears are metal teeth, and metal teeth do not negotiate. You cannot simply pull one spinning gear out of mesh with another while both are carrying load. The engine would have to be switched off for every change, which would mean stalling at every traffic light and restarting every time you pull away. So the drivetrain needed a deliberate weak point, a place where the flow of power could be opened and closed at will, without ever touching the engine itself. That weak point is a sandwich of 3 parts, smaller than a dinner plate. On the engine side sits the flywheel, a heavy steel disc bolted to the crankshaft that stores momentum and smooths out the engine's pulses. On the gearbox side sits the clutch disc, a thin plate coated with friction material on both faces and splined onto the gearbox input shaft. Holding them together is the pressure plate, a spring-loaded ring bolted to the flywheel. The spring inside that pressure plate is a flat cone with fingers radiating from the rim to the center, and its geometry hides the most surprising thing about this whole machine. Push the center of that cone, and the outer rim moves in the opposite direction. That is why the pedal works the way it does. Your foot does not squeeze the clutch shut. It presses a small bearing into the center of the spring, which flexes the rim backward, and the clamp releases. In other words, this part is locked by default, held together with spring force, and your foot only ever opens it. That way, if the hydraulic line ever fails, the car fails safe, stuck in gear rather than rolling free. There is a second set of springs hiding inside the clutch disc, and hardly anyone notices them. The hub of the disc carries a ring of small coil springs. A piston engine does not deliver its power smoothly. It delivers it in pulses, one shaft for each power stroke, and those little springs soak up every pulse before it reaches the gearbox. Without them, the drivetrain would judder and rattle. With them, the power arrives at the wheels feeling smooth. Now watch what happens at a standing start. The engine is turning at maybe 1,500 revolutions per minute. The gearbox input shaft is standing completely still. As you raise the pedal, the pressure plate closes, and for a second or two the clutch disc slips between the flywheel and the pressure plate, rubbing, dragging, spinning up gradually. That slip is not a flaw, it is the whole point. It is how a spinning engine and a stopped car agree to meet in the middle. But the slip is not free. Every moment of it turns the difference in speed into heat, right at the contact faces. In normal driving, the friction lining runs below 100 degrees Celsius. Hold the clutch at the bite point on a long hill, and that temperature can climb toward 300 degrees. That is not a typo, by the way. And that brings us to the hill, the moment this part earns its keep. Stand the car on a slope, release the brake, and let the clutch bite only part way. Gravity is trying to roll the car backward. The engine, through that half-engaged clutch, is pushing just hard enough forward to cancel it out. The wheels cannot roll back because the drivetrain is locked against the engine's force. The car holds still, with no brake pedal involved, balanced between two forces. It is a trick of pure friction, and it is also the fastest way to wear the clutch out, because while it balances, the disc keeps slipping against the flywheel, turning fuel into heat instead of motion. Every second at that bite point shaves a little material off the friction lining. The clock is already ticking on the clutch's life, and the driver at the top of the hill can't hear it. If you're enjoying this look under the hood, subscribe, because this channel explains one hidden system every week, from traffic lights to power grids. Enter the wet clutch. In the early 1900s, the British engineer Henry Selby Hele-Shaw built a clutch out of a stack of many small plates, all running submerged in oil. The oil does the job the air could not. It carries heat away, so the plates can slip again and again without burning out, and the stack of plates recovers the grip that the oil takes away. Motorcycles adopted this design almost universally, which is why a bike can crawl through stop-and-go traffic all afternoon and never overheat its clutch. Then the story takes a turn nobody expected. Engineers realized the clutch did not need a human foot at all. Modern dual-clutch gearboxes run two clutches side by side, one for the odd gears and one for the even gears. A computer controls the slip with a precision no foot can match, releasing one clutch exactly as the other closes, so gear changes happen in milliseconds with no pedal in the cabin. In heavy trucks, the same job is done with compressed air, a pneumatic actuator squeezing the clutch in place of a driver's leg, which is why modern semi-trucks come with 2 pedals instead of 3. If the story had stopped there, the clutch would have stayed a permanent part of every vehicle on the road. Then the electric motor arrived and changed the question entirely. An electric motor makes its full pulling force from 0 revolutions per minute, and it never stalls. There is no narrow band to manage, no idle speed to protect, no gap between a spinning engine and a stopped wheel that needs bridging. So an electric car uses one fixed gear and no clutch at all. The part that every driver once learned to feel simply disappears, but the idea behind it refuses to die. 2 rotating things that must meet, a brief moment of controlled friction to join them, and a spring that holds tight until something deliberately lets go. That principle still lives in every dual-clutch gearbox, every oil-cooled motorcycle, every automated truck rolling down a highway tonight. And the next time you hold a car on a hill with nothing but the bite point under your foot, you will know exactly what is holding you there. A spring-loaded, self-sacrificing disc, born from a strip of leather, slipping on purpose so that everything around it can stay still. If this gave you a new way of seeing the machine under your left foot, subscribe, because there is always another hidden system waiting to be opened up.